Marcus Webb made $340 a week working construction in Red Hook and fighting prelim cards in Atlantic City when the slots paid for matchmaking. He was 26 years old, had 14 wins and 9 losses, and hadn't been knocked out since Golden Gloves. The phone call came 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. The voice didn't introduce itself. Just said, "You spar?" "Yeah." "Tonight, 3 a.m. Gleason's. 500 cash." Marcus sat up in bed. His girlfriend stirred beside him, but didn't wake. "Who is this? You spar or not?" "Who am I sparring?" The line went quiet for 3 seconds. Then, does it matter? It should have. Marcus knew that. He'd been around long enough to know that calls like this, the ones that came late, that didn't give names, that offered money most fighters saw in a month, were never just sparring sessions. But $500 was $500. "I'll be there," he said. The voice hung up without confirmation. Now it was 3:08 a.m., and Marcus stood alone in Gleason's gym with the lights off except for one. The place felt bigger in the dark, colder, like a church built for something that had stopped believing in mercy. He heard the side door open behind him, didn't turn around. Footsteps moved across the concrete, slow and even, the rhythm of someone who had walked into rooms like this 1,000 times and never once hesitated. Marcus took a breath. Then Mike Tyson stepped into the light. He wore a black hooded sweatshirt and gray sweatpants. No entourage, no trainer, no cornerman, just himself and a gym bag. He sat down near the ring apron without ceremony. He didn't look at Marcus, didn't acknowledge him at all, just began pulling tape and gloves from the bag with the mechanical precision of a man who'd done this so many times that it stopped being a ritual and become something closer to breathing. Marcus watched him from across the gym. Tyson was shorter than he'd expected, maybe 5'10", but width made up for height. His neck was broader than his head. His shoulders sloped with muscle that looked carved rather than built. Even the sweatshirt, even standing still, he looked compressed. Potential energy waiting for release. Tyson sat on a stool and began wrapping his hands. The tape made soft sounds in the silence. Marcus could hear every pull, every twist. Could hear Tyson's breathing, steady, deep, almost meditative. Marcus walked to his own corner and began wrapping his hands. His fingers felt clumsy. The tape stuck to itself wrong twice before he got the rhythm right. He kept his eyes down, focused on the work, but his peripheral vision tracked Tyson the entire time. When both men finished, Tyson stood and pulled off his sweatshirt in one smooth motion. His torso was a study in controlled violence. Every muscle defined, but not exaggerated. His skin dark and smooth under the single overhead light. He wore no headgear, no mouthpiece visible yet. Marcus wore both. Tyson looked at him for the first time, not at his face, at his body, his stance, the way his weight distributed on his feet. Reading him the way a mechanic reads an engine before deciding what needs to be taken apart. The evaluation lasted maybe 5 seconds. Then Tyson climbed into the ring. Marcus followed. The canvas felt different under his feet than it had when he'd shadowboxed earlier. Softer, like it might give way if he stepped wrong. He moved to his corner and turned to face the center of the ring. Tyson stood there waiting, hands at his sides. No guard up yet, just standing in a slight crouch, his head tilted forward, watching Marcus through his eyebrows. An referee materialized. No timekeeper, no bell. Just the two of them and 60 feet of canvas and the darkness pressing in from every side. Tyson raised his hands into a tight guard. His gloves came up to his cheekbones, elbows tucked to his ribs. The textbook peekaboo stance Cus D'Amato had built him in. From that position, Marcus could barely see Tyson's face, just his eyes glinting in the gap between his gloves. Then Tyson moved forward. Not rushed, not cautious, just forward in a rhythm that was almost a shuffle, his head swaying slightly side to side like a cobra, deciding which direction to strike from. Marcus circled left, kept his jab out, maintained distance. His trainer's voice in his head, movement beats power. Don't be there when it arrives. Tyson cut off the angle without seeming to hurry. Just adjusted his path, and suddenly Marcus's circle became a corner that hadn't been there 3 seconds ago. Marcus threw a jab to create space that Tyson's head moved 2 inches, and the punch went past his ear into nothing. Marcus threw another. This one Tyson didn't slip. He walked through it. The jab hit his forehead and collapsed like paper hitting stone. Marcus felt the shock travel back through his shoulder. Tyson was 5 feet away now. Marcus feinted left and circled right, trying to reset. Tyson mirrored him perfectly, cutting the ring again, always between Marcus and the center, always pushing him backward toward the ropes, and no punches yet from Tyson. Just pressure, just presence. Marcus threw a combination, jab, jab, right hand. All 3 missed. Tyson's head moved in angles that didn't seem possible for something that thick, that heavy. He slipped under the right hand and came up 6 inches closer than he'd been before. Close enough now that Marcus could hear him breathing, could smell the liniment on his skin. Marcus backed up and felt the ropes against his spine. Tyson stopped advancing. Just stood there, 3 feet away, gloves still high, eyes still watching. Not through the gloves anymore. Over them now, looking down at Marcus, even though Marcus was 3 inches taller. The silence stretched. Marcus knew he was supposed to work his way out. Circle off the ropes. Create distance. That's what you did when a pressure fighter trapped you. But something in Tyson's stillness suggested that moving right now would be the worst decision Marcus could make. He stayed. Tyson's left shoulder dipped a 1/4 inch. Marcus flinched. Nothing came. Tyson's right glove twitched. Marcus raised his guard. Still nothing. Then Tyson smiled. Not with humor, just acknowledgement. The smile of someone confirming something they'd already known. He stepped back, gave Marcus space, walked to the center of the ring, and reset his stance. Marcus came off the ropes slowly. His legs felt heavier than they should. His heart rate was climbing even though nothing had happened yet. His trainer used to say, "Fear is just your body preparing for work. Use it," but this didn't feel like preparation. It felt like recognition. They circled each other. Marcus threw more jabs. A few landed. Most didn't. The ones that landed felt like throwing stones at a tank. Tyson's head barely moved. He just absorbed them and kept coming forward, closing distance in increments that seemed small until Marcus realized he was against the ropes again and couldn't remember how he'd gotten there. This time Tyson didn't wait. He threw a left hook to the body. Not hard. Not yet. But precise. It landed just below Marcus's ribs on the right side, in the space where the liver lives and pain compounds with every breath. Marcus's body folded slightly before his mind could stop it. Tyson stepped back again. Watching, Marcus straightened. Tried to breathe normally. Couldn't quite manage it. They reset. Tyson came forward again, and this time Marcus tried to meet him. Tried to establish his own offense before the pressure could build. He threw a 1-2 combination and then a left hook that actually had some weight behind it. Tyson caught all 3 punches on his gloves and forearms without moving backward. The impacts made dull thuds that sounded wrong. Too flat, like hitting a mattress instead of a man. Then Tyson countered a right uppercut that came from somewhere below Marcus's vision, rising in a tight arc that slipped between Marcus's gloves and snapped his head back. Not flush, glancing. But even glancing, it felt like being hit with something industrial. Marcus's mouthpiece shifted. He tasted blood, but didn't know if it was his lip or his gum. Tyson didn't follow up. Just watched Marcus reset. Watch him adjust his mouthpiece. Watch him try to control his breathing. And Marcus understood then what this was. This wasn't sparring. This was education. Tyson was teaching him something. Showing him the distance between competent and dangerous. Between professional and legendary. Every punch Marcus threw was being cataloged. Every defensive move was being read and filed away. Tyson wasn't trying to hurt him. Not yet. He was showing Marcus what it felt like to be studied by someone who had forgotten more about violence than Marcus would ever learn. They went another 2 minutes like that. Tyson applying pressure, Marcus trying to create space. Tyson landing body shots that weren't meant to finish but to educate. Marcus landing jabs that Tyson either slipped or wore like raindrops. Then something shifted. Marcus threw a right hand that was supposed to be a jab but came out as a cross, and it caught Tyson clean on the cheek. Not hard enough to hurt, but clean. Flush. Tyson's head turned with the impact, then turned back. His eyes had changed, not angry, just focused. The way a machine focuses when it's been turned on. He came forward differently now. Faster, lower, his head movement more pronounced, his feet making sounds on the canvas that Marcus could feel through his soles. Marcus tried to circle away, but Tyson was already there, cutting the angle, and this time when Marcus got trapped on the ropes, there was no pause for evaluation. Tyson threw a left hook to the body that made the first one feel like a suggestion. Marcus's torso bent despite every instinct telling it not to. Before he could straighten, a right uppercut found his chin. Not the glancing one from before, but something with intention behind it. Marcus's legs went soft for half a second. His vision blurred at the edges. Tyson stepped back. Marcus stayed on his feet, but only technically. His gloves were down. His guard was non-existent. He was breathing through his mouth, and the air felt thin. Tyson lowered his hands completely, turned, and walked to the center of the ring. Stood there with his back to Marcus for 3 seconds. Then turned around and raised his gloves again, offering a reset. Marcus should have stopped. Should have said thank you for the lesson and taken his $500 and gone home to his girlfriend and his construction job and never thought about this night again, except as a story to tell other fighters in gym locker rooms. But something in his pride wouldn't let him. That he came off the ropes. Raised his gloves. Nodded once. Tyson nodded back. They touched gloves in the center of the ring. Then they went again. This time Tyson didn't educate. He demonstrated. His combinations came in sequences Marcus had studied on tape, but never felt in real time. 3-punch clusters that landed faster than Marcus could process them. A jab to measure distance. A left hook to freeze the feet. A right uppercut to exploit the freeze. Textbook. Brutal. Efficient. Marcus covered up. Tried to weather it. His forearms absorbed shots that made his bones hum. His gloves protected his face, but he could feel Tyson probing for gaps, testing the structure, finding the weak points in Marcus's defense the way water finds cracks in concrete. Then Tyson went to the body again. A left hook. A right hook. Another left. Each one landing in the same spot below the ribs. Digging. Compounding. Marcus's guard came down involuntarily, his body trying to protect itself from the accumulation of pain. Tyson saw it and stopped. He stepped back, lowered his hands, shook his head once, not in disappointment. In finality, the session was over. Marcus stood there, his chest heaving, his body reporting damage from a dozen places simultaneously. He hadn't been knocked out. Hadn't even been knocked down, but he felt more comprehensively beaten than he had in any fight that had ended with him on the canvas. Tyson walked to his corner and began unwrapping his hands. He still hadn't said a word. Marcus climbed through the ropes and sat on the ring apron. His legs were shaking, not from fear now, from exhaustion, from the body finally admitting what the mind had known since the first exchange. After a minute, Tyson picked up his gym bag and walked toward the door. He paused when he passed Marcus, reached into his pocket, and pulled out an envelope. Set it on the bench next to where Marcus Saturday, the second half of the payment. Then Tyson looked at him directly for the first time since entering the ring. "You stayed," he said. His voice was quieter than Marcus expected, almost gentle. Most don't. Marcus nodded because he didn't trust his voice yet. Tyson studied him for another moment. Then, "You got heart, but heart isn't enough." He turned and walked to the door, opened it. The street light from outside cut into the gym like a blade. Before leaving, Tyson looked back one more time. "It's never enough," he said. Then he was gone. Marcus sat in the empty gym for another 20 minutes. The overhead light hummed above the ring. The heavy bags hung motionless in the shadows. His hands still trembled when he finally unwrapped them. The envelope sat next to him, thick with the second half of his payment. He picked it up, felt the weight of it. $500 for 3 minutes of work. Good money for sparring. Great money, even. But Marcus knew it wasn't payment for sparring. It was payment for understanding. For learning what the difference felt like between being a fighter and being in a ring with someone who had transformed violence in a language and spoken it fluently for so long that mercy and destruction had become the same conversation. Marcus Webb would fight 14 more times in his career. He'd win 6 of them. He'd never become a contender, never sniff a ranking, never get the call for anything bigger than club shows in Connecticut and Pennsylvania. But he'd never be knocked out again either. Because once you've been in the dark with something that could erase you and chose not to, fear stops working the same way, that you've already seen the worst thing that could happen, and you stayed anyway.